We're back, baby, as we're getting ready to go into our third game of the day. It's Singularity versus Fnatic Rising. Now, this one is a very exciting one. They are both 5-1. They are both top of their group. So one of these teams will be taking a win off the other and really putting their foot forward as our group is the strongest group. Guys, what are we making of these rosters and what are we making of this game?
Look, for me, I'm here to hype SNG. I'm the hype man of SNG on the desk right now. I think this team is really bloody fun to watch. And not only that, I think you've got really strong players across the board. And obviously, in particular, I'm the personal, I'm the president of the Fury fan club. I think this guy is individually like the best performing player in the NLC right now. Forget just mid laners. And most importantly as well, in a recent interview, I think it was last week, it could have been, last week, Tuesday, I think, he said the player that he's most looking forward to playing is Febiven. Out of any of the mid laners, he said, I want to play Febiven. He's also the other Dutch mid laner in the league. So I'm hyped to see what exactly he brings into Febi on Fnatic Rising.
And remember, the last time that Fnatic played, they lost to Dusty. They lost to the bottom team from Singularity's group. So they've got a lot to prove here because versus Dusty, when they were in that loss, they looked so lost. They looked completely scattered. They had no idea what they were doing. And that game just looked nigh on unwinnable for them. So I have to keep our eyes on Fnatic in this game because I feel like they have a lot to prove. But same for Singularity. Now we're going to pick some bans, the Akali, the Rumble, the Renekton, the Lulu, and Fnatic actually... Oh no, sorry, it's the Gwen. Fnatic are now banning. I'm an idiot. So the Gwen final ban here. And that's an interesting one because typically the Gwen is a red side ban.
Yeah, I'm so glad you hyped up Fury though, Jamado, because I think that's definitely someone you got to keep your eye on. I absolutely love the way this guy's been playing. He's been putting off some great plays. He's so reliable for Singularity, and I think as well it just makes Nulti shine. Whenever your mid laner is like that good, like your jungler is inevitably going to look good as well. And it's quite a meta where mid laners, junglers, or solo lanes in general, I guess they can definitely pop off. So I think that's really working in Singularity's favor. As we are seeing, the hover here might be some jungle priority. It is. Nulti's going to lock in that Xin Zhao. His first Xin Zhao game of the split. Has been rising a lot in priority, but definitely seems like a Nulti style champion.
It is interesting, actually, because I think back to the first UKLC and the seasons after that, he was actually pulling Xin Zhao out back then. So it's interesting, but now that it's like actually probably one of the top tier junglers, that this is his first game. Maybe it's a bit of bans, maybe it's a bit of denial picks. I don't have the stats on me, but interestingly enough. Anyway, Fnatic are going to pick up the Varus for Bean. Karma obviously banned away. Ezreal is open if Dragdar wants to answer out with that as his pick. Obviously, we'll be getting shoved in pretty heavily. We'll see what they decide to go here. If they decide to go for a support and just instantly lock in their bot lane, or if they want to find some kind of jungle or mid answer to this Xin Zhao.
Yeah, and
open.
Yeah, Thresh is open. That's the only other thing. Okay, they're going to go down the Lucian route, which... I think that's cute.
There, mate. What are you doing?
Yeah, this is my thinking. This is my thinking.
Okay. Which I think the Lucian pick's interesting because it kind of maybe pigeonholes, some of the solo lane picks that can come out. But it also means that on R3, they're going to have to pick between, locking in something like Thresh, which is typically what we see with Varus when Thresh is open, right? But then it also means they've got to secure a jungler as well. And if they don't secure a jungler, then their pool is going to get pinched undeniably. There you go. Thresh is going to get taken away because it is that high priority. And now with that in mind, SNG, they could just say, because they know they're going to get a bad matchup, let's secure a strong solo laner for ourselves instead of going for an AD here and just kind of bite the bullet. Or they can just take a strong pairing. I mean, honestly, trying to go toe-to-toe in lane, something like Kalista or even Jhin, a lane bully to match the range, I think is a good direction for Dragdar as well.
Let's see what they go for. 2 seconds left. All right, it is the Jhin lock, and we haven't seen a lot of Jhin, actually. Jin's kind of been falling out of favor a bit. And honestly, I feel like, paired with Thresh, you don't really talk too much about Jhin and Thresh, but Thresh with any kind of immobile AD carry or low mobility AD carry is really good. So that's great to pair up with the Jhin. And you're going to have something to protect Varus. It might not be the Tahm Kench, it might be, but either way, with this Thresh taken off the board, your options are limited. It is going to be TK. That's going to get locked in. So now Varus has a little bit of protection here. So depending on the dive comps that we get, or the dive... what's the word I'm looking for? Things that Singularity drafts. Varus to be a little bit safer.
Your Thesaurus just broke down there, didn't it, buddy? It's going to be... I kind of feel like this is going to be a relatively uninteractive bot lane. You've got Tahm Kench, you've got Thresh. I don't think we're going to see too much action down here. It might just be a little bit of a farm fest for a while. So For me, it's where are they going to look? Where are they going to look to go as their next kind of point of attack? Obviously, they can look to ban away junglers if you're on the side of Singularity. Fnatic probably just looking to ban away, pretty comfortable top laners and maybe some mid laners as well, things that can handle this Lucian, as the Karthus is going to get denied from Maxi.
Yeah, I think whilst the Karthus ban makes sense, you want to remove away sort of AP pairings. If they want to ban another AP jungler, I think that's fine, but I also think you might want to think about banning away Volibear, just because you can take the Volibear to match the Xin in the early sort of pressure department, and then you also have R5, and you've already got a really, what am I looking for here? A very versatile bottom side of the map where, you can play strong side Varus Tahm Kench. It is actually a very strong lane in its own right. But you can also weak side it. That's a very interesting hover. I'm going to wait until it maybe gets locked in. But yeah, Volibear as a sort of early aggression jungler to match in is something that we see kind of commonly. I think both sides of the matchup is kind of whatever junglers will take it. But they've gone for the Nidalee instead because Maxi is very proficient at it. But let's see if this actually gets locked in. It was hold for so long, but yeah, I know the more boring option is Gragas.
Yeah, I mean, Dana doesn't do great into Xin, so okay. But I would have loved to have seen that. Come on, Gragas.
Yeah, I agree.
He's alright.
He's alright. But I think now for SNG, something like Jace for Fury to try and match some of the poke in the solo lane would be great. They are lacking on the AP side of things, so maybe they go for a control mage in the mid lane instead. Something a little more static, maybe Victor can do okay. LeBlanc would be really explosive, and we see this pairing a lot with Xin Zhao, so I'm just pretty happy to see it locked in all honesty. Jake's throwing up arms. I think he's exceptionally happy. And now for Wazor in the top side, I'm expecting something kind of tanky. I think that Wazor on this roster has actually been one of the sort of, I don't want to frame it in a negative way, but he's been one of the few players that I've actually looked at and said, man, he's not keeping up with the rest of SNG. And I think I've spoken with him a couple of times and he knows his performances haven't been too great. So maybe this is why Fnatic could prioritize the draft in the way that they have. They know that the bottom side is going to be relatively hard to punish. So let's save R5 for Pride and then play through Pride instead to try and punish Wazor. But we've got GP. I mean, Jake, if you was casting this game, you'd be going, I know that.
Man, my two most played champions are on the side of Singularity. I want to change my vote if I'm going to be honest. Interestingly enough, though, this mid lane is probably going to be fairly Featherman favored. LeBlanc does get pretty heavily bullied by Lucian. Obviously, as you move later into the game, there is kill pressure there, but in the laning phase, in the earlier stages, it's pretty rough. And the Jason to GP matchup, I'm actually a GP mid player, so I'm not actually 100% on how this matchup goes. So maybe someone a bit smarter can talk to me about how the Jace fares into the GP.
Well, I've spoken a lot, Foxy. I know I'm going to rub you one more time. But Jason into GP won't have a great time. Also, considering they've also got Lucian, either side of the matchup for GP is kind of horrible. So it's kind of pick your poison for Wazor. Looks like we're going to have Jason on the top side instead. So I think it's priority kind of across 2.5 lanes. I think the bottom side is pretty wishy-washy.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that as well. The fact that GP doesn't have any good matchup here in solo lanes. Like, it doesn't matter who he plays against, whether it's the Jace or the Lucian. They're both going to do similar things, and they're both going to hurt him. And even LeBlanc isn't going to have too much of a fun time. But the plus side for LeBlanc is that you do have like kill pressure with that.
Yeah.
With that lane, not necessarily even having to wait to level 6. And when you've got Xin on your side, that's nice. You can try and punish that in that mid side. But I think all in all, on the Fnatic don't have great like magic damage sources. They have Gragas and that's it. And as far as AP junglers go, that is not a consistent magic damage dealer. But there's no one really too tanky on the side of Singularity to punish that. And if Fnatic can get going early, especially, then they can snowball the game before that becomes too much of a problem.
Well, this is our unofficial, but kind of our match of the week, really. This is the one we've been really excited for. And who better to take us through the game than Tweedledee and Tweedledinmark? Over to you guys.
I was confused for a second, I was trying to work out where he was going to go with the second one, but I'm glad he went for you rather than me. It's me, Viperud. It's him, Goldberg. We're back for our third, and it's the game of the day, game of the week, whatever we're going to call it. We've got Singularity coming in against Fnatic, and imagine Singularity picking Gangplank, LeBlanc in their solo lanes, and Hitbrain still doesn't vote for them.
I mean, I can still see why, but I think when LeBlanc every once in a while always comes back into meta, a lot of people have this kind of, I don't want to say per se mistake, but don't underestimate that. That's also very much about the 2v2s in the mid lane. That setup you get with the change is totally what most of this is going to be about. So if you can force flashes out of Febiven, if you can get an ult in a favorable position at the desk talk about with Fury's pressure, that is something that's going to be really nice to do, because right now you have a Jhin that's more of a facilitator. But it can be a bit awkward, I will say. Singularity don't really have a frontliner. Yes, they obviously have the Xin Zhao and NLC, but if you fall behind, he's going to be really easy to punish. So for Singularity, once again, we talked about snowballing earlier in a series just before this. It's very much going to be the game plan again. And also, the desk talked about Fury. Seems like the best mid laner in the NLC. Well, I'd say if you go against Febiven and outperform him, that's the final test you need here to really prove it to everyone.
I mean, this is the thing about Fury. Most kills of any NLC mid laner, most assists of any NLC mid laner, and highest kill participation of any NLC mid laner. You know, those are good stats to have on your side when you're this mid. But I want to ask you about this, Goldberg, because I've been confused so far in this split, because you've all been calling it Fury, but I remember back in the day, a wise man, Mr. Chronicler, now of LCK fame, the only league you're not currently casting, said it was definitely pronounced Furai. So is he wrong, or is everyone else wrong?
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Moritz would be a bit wrong. You know, he is casting LCK, whereas LPL is obviously the superior one. So, you know, Fury, that's just going to be the name.
I'm going to go with you because you're here and Chronicler can't fight me. Career,
but if the tables were turned...
if it was Chronicler next to me, you know what? He's a very handsome man. I'd be...
Oh, I get that.
I'd be saying whatever to make the man smile. But we found our way into the game. LeBlanc into the Lucian. Febiven's giving Fury a little bit of a rough time right now, but has now hit level 2. And it's going to be... Is it a tricky time for the Singularity solo laners? Because Wazor, the desk talked at length about how he's not going to have a good one, but Lucian's also really aggressive, and there's the passive already popped.
It's going to be about cooldowns between these two, and then obviously the 2v2, as we talked about. The important part is here that they're both opting in for teleport, so the kill pressure is not going to be as high as if in Night were available. But level 3 is definitely minute mark. Not minute mark, but level mark. We need to take a look onto the mid laners, because that's where the kill pressure really starts to come through, specifically with junglers being able to join the fray as well. And you can kind of see Febby know this. He already put an early pink ward out, not pink ward, but just ward in general out. Whereas on Xin Zhao, it's quite common now in this meta that you just skip your red side camp. So you just clear your blue side and you come in on a gank on a mid lane where they don't expect the timing. But Febiven, you can see he's an experienced mid laner, already put out the ward, and now he gets to shove in the lane, probably get a cheater recall, so he doesn't have to use the TP. Fury will have to TP now. So all in all, small little lean in the mid lane for the side of Febiven.
When as a player like Febiven, a small lead can get out of hand very quickly. And it must be said, both these teams have only lost once. Singularity losing out to BTXL, an academy team, very strong roster. Fnatic Rising losing out to Dusty last game, which was a massive shock. No one was really expecting to see that one. Fnatic, we haven't had to see them play from a loss since the beginning of the split. And how are they going to recover? Because they've drafted themselves a very aggressive team composition. Do you back them in this one?
It's definitely very much easier to do so in this one. And now they get the information onto Nolty. Oh, this guy, he haven't even done red buff yet. So in the jungle as well, Maxi, in terms of just having already full cleared, is massively ahead. And he's also going to be able to clear his camps faster, as they will be respawning with more XP for him as well. So for the jungle side, for the pressure Febiven has been soaking here in the mid lane, it's actually helping the rest of the map, that he's not disrespectful, that he's not overstepping boundaries, but he's waiting for now Maxi, getting the vision in the river, backing him up, shadowing him for him to play like this. And once again, remember, we talked about Singularity. They actually need to snowball a bit. They don't have an active frontliner. If teamfights start breaking out and Fnatic Rising has to lead, they just have the engaged show with the Chains of Corruptions, with the Flash Body Slam from Gragas, or with the Pope to come out with Bean and Pride before the fight even starts.
And the Des talked about where they could potentially look to get that lead. Nolty has been so unlocked by Fury having that dominance in mid lane in basically every matchup. But if Forbidden's going to control this one on the Lucian, if he's not going to allow the LeBlanc to be getting out and about or even to be killing onto Forbidden, then Nolty might not have the same easy time that he's maybe come to expect a little bit so far this season.
Yeah, for sure. And also just the individual level here. Forbidden been really good at landing those piercing lights to actually get the damage through to get the priority. And Viperoon, I beg you to take a look onto the vision in River. You can see how much they want to support Forbidden here. 2 pink wards already established. A vision towards the Raptors as well. All Febby has to do is be on the bottom side of the mid lane. So it's always easy for him to kite into the fog of war, making the members of Singularity question their move. Should we move forward into territory where we don't actually have any vision or intel whatsoever? So you can see he's never hovering towards the top side, always towards the bot side. Oh, don't. Okay, as we say that, he's moving up towards the top side onto the enemy jungler.
Oh no, Forbidden gonna be jumped onto by Nolty. Will be able to get away with the flash, but he's getting flashed onto by the Zinzao. Maxi coming through. Will he be able to save Forbidden's life? He will be able to for the moment. He's burning down, but First Blood goes over to Nolty, who's now gonna look to escape. There's the channel coming through from Maxi. He's sustaining quite a lot, manages to get the return kill, but there's the ultimate coming down from Gangplank, and it's Fury diving on through. Just as we were praising him, we were giving him all of the credit. He walks into the jungle and gives up First Blood.
I was like, yeah, Fefe, you're doing such a great job. You're standing towards that bottom lane of the map. You don't need to walk topside. And immediately, he does the only thing he can't do.
He was given all the vision. There were 2 wards and 3 members of his team. Well, 2 members Varus had recalled in the bot river. Why go top at that moment? These are the questions, but why was the decision there?
Yeah, well, they wanted to go for, I think, setup for Herald. The Scuttle trap was also up. I think it was the Scuttle that was about to... I'm actually not sure, honestly. Rift Herald's not up. I can't see if Scuttle's up. I saw Maxi make his way up towards the top side before as well, but I think he was just a bit too fast. Like, if you go up towards the top side for whatever you're trying to secure together, this is a whole nother story. But this time around, they gave exactly what Singularity's composition needed. We said they struggled to find a lead because they're not snowballing, and they didn't even have to do much because Fnatic just gave them the kills themselves.
We talked about the bot lane. Probably not going to be the most exciting interactive thing because you've got Fresh and Tom Kench, 2 really great disengaged supports with Jhin and Varus. And now the leads have been given to Singularity in the solo lane situation. The mid laner has a kill. The top laner doesn't have one, just has an assist. But with Zinzao also grabbing that kill, is going to be able to move that advantage, like scuttle it between the 2 lanes, as it were. Exactly. So a little bit worrying coming through for Fnatic off that first early play.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is still a bit worrying, but make no mistake, these 2 teams are still completely even. That's the thing. The lead hasn't really solidified itself, but the crucial part is here right now, Febby does not have flash. And Cannon Barrage, as soon as that is up and available again, you can continue looking on towards plays against Febby. You can divert resources into this mid lane. And they know that on the side of Fnatic. You can see they're using a lot of their time to help Febby stabilize. Bot lane priority, move up to mid lane, get mid lane priority, use that mid lane priority for getting the Rift Herald priority. They're very clever about their rotations on Fnatic to solidify their stronghold on the map.
4 members picking up this Rift Herald priority top as well, so it's the easiest Rift Herald I've ever seen for Fnatic Rising. They're able to secure that one and move back into the mid lane. It's in the pocket of Maxi, so keep your eyes on the Gragas, where that money's going to be invested. Where would you like to see that gold being given over? Which champion do you want to see get that advantage?
Well, I'd love for them to actually just get... I'm very much a fan of first Rift Herald users going down with pushing in mid lane and then just moving on to side lane where you can dive people. So honestly speaking, I think it's fine to do it up towards the top side. I think bot lane can be a bit harder for them to get any pick on unless they're able to get the Chains of Corruptions down. But with 4 platings being done in the mid lane, that is also a possibility with Tam Kench specifically where you can move it up. So I think they have loads of tools to do it. All in all, you just need to make sure that it comes to fruition wherever you use it. Oh my god, damage on towards Waysor as well.
He grabs a little snack and he's okay for now, but Pride just going to be hanging around, maybe looking for a big snipe to get some damage down. Waysor too smart and too quick. Going to be dodging out of that one, forcing Pride to back away for now, but... In the top side, we haven't talked about it too much, but 10 farm in the lead for Pride. Decent position to be in. And Gangplank, is there a time where he starts liking this matchup a little bit more?
Not really. I mean, there comes the time. Yeah, obviously there comes the time where he's going to be able to blow him up with the barrels, but he'll be able to do that against most champions when he's on 3 items. And now we see what I like to see here. Mid lane priority, move up to top lane.
Get the kill, top lane. Have Rift Herald in pocket if you want to drop that one as well, but it really is as simple as that, and Pride is the one picking up the kill.
It's just the thing right now. It's just this whole meta is about having mid lane priority to always move it onto a side lane. Like mid lane and jungle are the driving factors right now to either play for your top side or either play for your bot side of the map.
And with these bot lanes, we've already talked about them. They're not really lanes that you play towards because of the amount of disengage your opponent has in both regards. So going to be using that one top side. Hasn't taken down the tower, but a decent amount of gold going over to Fnatic Rising. They found themselves 1,000 gold in the lead at the 10-minute mark, which is a decent opening considering we were a little bit worried about one of the early plays.
For sure, Drake is up now. It's going to be the second one. Fnatic second if they could get it. TP is up for Pride. No TP for Waysor.
Rush needs to be a little bit careful. Bean needs to be more careful as he jumps into Tarmcatcher's mouth and is forced out the other side. Nolty now rooted up, taking a whole heap of damage. Has the ult, but still goes down. It's been securing now, and Prosphere and Dragnar in for retreat. But Fury over the wall and Dragon Pit might look for the flank. Not going to be able to as Prosphere goes down. Dragnar takes a snipe to the face and will back away. But Fnatic Rising turn on the style and move towards the objective.
Seems like a bit of a miscommunication from Singularity. Waysor had just TP'd up towards the top side. Pride held on to his TP. So no matter what, whenever Singularity was going to create a skirmish towards the bot side of the map, it was always going to be at a man deficit because Pride could TP. Cannon Barrage was down as well. So I'm not too sure why Singularity opted in for that Drake. Yes, they do get some plating on towards Waysor, but they still lose out on the fight, and they lose out on the second Drake.
2 Drakes over to Fnatic Rising already. Could look towards that Soul Wing condition. It's Cloud this time around. Will they be particularly happy with that one?
I mean, it's not the best one to have, but I mean, you're always happy with Soul, no matter what. But no, Infernal Soul on the poke composition is definitely the go-to every time.
Absolutely. They managed to get one of those dragons in their pocket, but it's not going to be any more than that. As we move into the last couple of minutes of plates being available. Rift Herald, of course, has already been used by Fnatic Rising to give themselves a little bit of a gold injection, and just going to be looking to stabilize things out a little bit, grow their lead as much as they can. But again, it's been a little bit of a quieter opener than the first game we saw today.
Yeah, for sure. But this time around, there's a lot more to it. Like, you can see a lot of the movements are very well throughout. This time around, vision control between both teams. It seems like to be very proactive without being it with the few kills we've actually had. And I think a lot of it also came from some of the rotations that we didn't really talk about yet. But for example, when they went up for the top play, where they got the Herald down, the bot lane from Fnatic had actually put themselves off towards the mid lane. Quickly, Tahm ultimated down towards the bottom lane, so they didn't actually lose any waves. And that's the rotations we see when we talk about Fnatic. They're very clever in the ways they're doing it without losing too much.
Waysor needs to be careful before he loses too much health. Had to drop the ultimate to get away from Pride, but a relatively even trade in the end in the top lane. Both of these players having a decent game so far. Waysor a little bit less so, but again, it's a rough matchup. Forbidden forced to use the ultimate just to cull down the wave and prevent any more pushing or diving potential from Singularity's mid lane.
Pride 100% thought Nolty was in that top side of the map, or else he would have just flashed for the kill. Nolty was kind of bluffing there and just be like, yeah, not Nolty, but Waysor rather. Was just, yeah, I'm going to pretend like there's someone behind me. I'm just going to go on towards you. That could have been a solo kill for Pride, but he was just too patient to flash forward in case the enemy jungler would be there.
We don't talk about patience as a negative thing too often because some League of Legends players and teams have a propensity to be a little bit over-aggressive, and while it's very entertaining, it's not always the kind of strategies that wins you games. But, you know, Pride maybe have to jump forward a little bit more to get those fights in the top side. Plates are gone. The gold lead is healthily in the favor of Fnatic Rising right now. Decent position for them to be in. Will they be happy with it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. And with Rift Herald spawning in 1 minute, I mean, they're just going to be putting their resources up towards this one. Resets are coming through. You can see Brawler's Claw already picked up by Bean. I'm expecting the rest of the members to get their resets through soon as well, just to pick up their mythics. And then it should just be quite easy for them still to navigate these team fights. But rotations from Singularity starting to come out as well. And you can see from the posturing on the minimap that they're walking up towards this Rift Herald. They want to be able to contest it.
Well, it's a little bit different from the last game we watched, where Tricked was super happy to let the game roll forward as long as not too much ground was being given. This time around, Singularity don't have Kog'Maw. They don't have that same kind of big win condition, so they have to be a little bit more aggressive. They have to start making plays themselves a little bit more, and they've moved towards this Rift Herald, but Fnatic Rising know they're there and have plenty of members to contest.
I mean, you're completely right. They have to make sure that that composition gets going in some way or form. So they've started up the Rift Herald, but pay attention to Featherman in these fights. Pay attention to the poke to come out. That's what we're looking for with Fight Squad.
Oh, that's the engage coming through from Max. They've already blown up Nolty. The objective is secured, and now SRJ are in full retreat. Singularity lose a man, lose the objective, but that's all they lose.
Yeah, but they started up the Rift Herald. They still lose it. They lose out on the tempo of the map. They lose another turret now with the Rift Herald. Nothing's going in their way right now.
Rift Herald drop mid. They could look to try and take this one down. It will be enough with just Shelly. Singularity happy to clear that one out, but not happy to lose that mid lane tower, because Fnatic Rising, after the first play, it's been all about them. They've done everything right.
But Viper, they're not looking to slow down either. They're not getting breathing rooms. 30 seconds, and then we get to the Cloud Drake. That's soul point for Fnatic. Resets are only now starting to come through from Singularity, which kind of indicates that they're not going to be able to go for this Drake. Yes, Febby is also on laid back, but he does have TP, so he can always join the fight whenever. Dragnor deciding to stay around. That may cost them in skill as well. On Prospev, spotted out on ward. The chance of them contesting this Drake is just becoming more and more slim, really.
They can't keep taking this poke. Prosper in no healthy way to actually get the contest down. Has to recall to try and reset, grab some wards as well. But the Dragon's already on the map. You can see Fnatic Rising already moving around towards it. Fury and Nolty being chased away. And this one should be easy for the Academy team to pick up. They've got the damage. They've got the control. They've got the vision. Singularity have nothing.
They really don't. And when they get this, they're looking for a 22-minute soul as well. They're just getting everything on the map.
And they get themselves that dragon. It's very, very scary. And if you're on Singularity, what are you looking at as your route back into this game as the third dragon goes down?
I mean, it's definitely some big potential. You have to thresh, you have to change the corruptions. You need to make sure someone is isolated.
Oh, this is very, very close. Pride goes low, Pride goes down. Fury's teleport was all the encouragement Wazor needs, and he picks up the solo kill.
A bit of something like that, as we just saw it, but like 2 to 3 times more of that for you to really get back in this game. And that's hard to do, because you're in a timer. Soul is up in less than 4 minutes. I mean, less than 5 minutes. And yeah, you do get a pickup onto the gangplank, but you're not on 3 items. Like, realistically speaking, you're going to be lucky if you're on 2 items going into the next fight.
And they haven't been winning fights when they were more at parity, and they're definitely not there now. Another tower falls on the map. This time around, it's going to be Singularity picking up their first objective of the game, but Vivian and Rux looking to get onto Fury. LeBlanc is quite slippery, so will be able to dash away, but you've got to imagine that this death squad for Vivian and Rux, if they had another member with them, that could have gone very differently.
Look at this. Look at all the vision in the red side jungle. Look at all the camps that are up for Nolty right now. Or was that there's no camps up for him? Right, that's exactly my point. It's already been taken by Fnatic. It's so easy for them to dictate the game. It's so easy for them to keep the control up. Because Singularity's defense, by the minute, is just going to become lesser and lesser. It's going to be harder for them to actually get a grasp onto what's the map. So Fnatic, they're just really choking them out in this position.
It's not even Singularity's jungle anymore. Dragdar able to dash away from the engage from Beam. No ultimate available on Varus, but no Gale Force there as Maxi throws his ultimate down. Just the trade, you know, show that he still has it as the curtain has been called. It looks like Singularity actually want to try and take this fight. Can Prosper get a depth sentence down? They can land it onto the Tahm Kench. He is going to flash and actually is able to get away quite healthily. So a lot of commitment being placed by Singularity, both time and resources, and they don't gain very much.
Gain some summoner spells going down as well, but you know, you gotta remember they need to look for this. Featherman was off to a reset onto the side lane, so they did have time to use this. The downtown was used for it, but while you commit plays in the mid lane, it's easy for Pride to pick up the top side of the map again. And that's kind of the hard part here. Fury in a position where he could be looking for some of these members. Remember, Rux just flash, Bean no heal.
Ooh, going on to Bean, a lot of damage coming down, but he jumps into Tahm Kench's mouth. The Frog's going to get rooted up. Death sentence through and could well go down for Viven, putting down as much damage as he can, but won't be able to pick up any kills just yet. Lucian needs to be careful. Look at teleport on the side. Pride coming from the back. Nice engage from Max. He picks up one as Nolty dives on forward. What can he do? He goes low. He's taken down by Viven. Fury goes down on the side as well, and Dragdar will join him in the watery grave. Wazor is the last member standing from Singularity, but Fnatic Rising have 4. They've got more gold. They've got more items as they move towards the next objective.
And I can't even blame Singularity to go in for a fight like that. Their draft just quite frankly put them in a very stressful situation. If they didn't snowball, the game is just going to be looking very doomed for them. And, you know, matters of fact is they did not snowball. So they had to look for some crazy picks. They had to go for some insane plays. And usually that just does not work out for you. So Baron in hand for Fnatic Rising now. 2 minutes on towards the Soul. And we're just seeing the map once again lessen for Singularity, as their towers should start to fall.
Let's have another look at this one, because as you said, Singularity, you can't blame them for going for the play, but it just doesn't end well.
And that's the thing, the spells are connected. They're doing what they can and they do get the kill here, but yeah, that was so much invested for one support. Then the TP starts to come through, flashes are still up for Maxi, and there's not really much to analyze. You're just looking at a team right now that are just much further ahead than Singularity, and there's nothing they could do. Fnatic's early game has been super great. Aside from that small mistake from Feathervin moving up towards the top side where he got picked off, they essentially countered all Singularity wanted to do.
Just look at this gold graph at the bottom of your screen. It's all been about Fnatic. It was a little bit of a slower start potentially, but then coming on through, it's been strength to strength, and I'm struggling to see how Singularity build their way back into this game at this stage.
That's exactly the point as well. They are actually relying at this point for Fnatic to make a mistake. And that is honestly just the harsh reality we're looking at here. Fnatic, for them, obviously, it's about making no hiccups right now. Keep the lanes pushed out, siege the last turret. You have a good poke composition with the Varus, with the Jace. And when you're feeling like it, you can pick up the Soul whenever. You don't even have to rush it. You can make good use of the Baron buff while it's still up for 1 minute and 30 seconds. And wow, just look at that damage.
Look at the trade. Pride only took damage from the tower, and it was way less than he did to Wazor. The engage comes out, and now Gangplank has nowhere to go. Prospell has the death sentence, but it might only be his as the damage is raining down upon him. There he goes. Fury looking for a target. Can't assassinate anyone as the teleport comes down onto the cannon minion. Rux happy to tank up to keep the siege alive, keep the minion healthy as another wave crashes on through. I don't know what Singularity can do to defend this. They've lost members, they've lost objectives, and they're gonna lose their first inhibitor.
Yeah, first inhibitor going down, but you can see pings are starting to come off to the Drake, so they're just gonna back off here. They don't fancy their chances too much just yet, and I think that makes good sense. Very low death timer still. Remember, we are only 22 minutes into the game, although it may not feel like it, but with that, Baron running out in 30 seconds, but another powerful buff should be up for the table as Maxi is gaining them the Soul right now.
Maxi can do it solo for Vivid, and Rux happy to just play bodyguard, make sure that no one else is getting into the Dragon Club as Maxi secures the Soul for his team. 23 minutes on the clock. And you know what, Goldberg? Time in the NLC doesn't seem to work like regular time, because in this game and the first game, things seem to go much quicker than you'd usually expect. In that second game, time seemed to be pretty slow.
Well, the thing is, this time around, you have two compositions which wanted to accelerate in the early game. Lucian wants to accelerate. Pride wants to establish the lane matchup against the GP, where he's actually able to just completely pressure him out of lane. And then, yeah, bot lanes are bot lanes. You kind of just let them face off against each other. Meanwhile, the supports are roaming. But once again, it's due to the nature of composition, and we see it quite often in this meta where the games are quite fast, because this meta is very snowbally. But Trick, I guess they just want to break the pattern a bit and went for scaling composition earlier.
It worked for them. They managed to pick up that win in the second game of the day, but we're going to be seeing how Fnatic Rising are able to close this one out. And they're very, very far ahead, but there's always a mistake in every League of Legends team. The Bivin needs to be a little bit careful not to be caught out by Prospect, but putting a load of damage into the support. Fresh needs to back away, and now Fnatic Rising moving more towards this top side, trying to create as much as they can on two fronts. Fury diving forward onto the Bivin, a decent amount of damage, but it's exchanged blow for blow as they're both forced to back away. It seems like only a matter of time before this team fight kicks off.
Yeah, they don't have Baron anymore, but they still have supers and they still have a good poke comp. Fight breaks down off the top side now.
Nolte dives on in and just gets melted through. Can't find an assassination as Fury looks to do the same. Weasel gonna be poked out as he's forced to back away. Maxi with the engage picks up onto Fury. It's a double kill coming through to Bean. And now Weasel is melted. Dragged our last man standing, but not for long. Fnatic rising, pick up the ace, and will look to close out this game.
Yeah, it's just going to be Fnatic. Full driving factor from them this game. From start to finish, it seemed like they were in control. From stacking up the first early Drake, to finishing up the Baron, to finishing up the inhibitors, and now Fnatic Rising should be finishing up the game, but it looks like they're looking for some extra KDA.
Yeah, you got to get those minions score, make yourself look good on the charts. Prospect not able to land the death sentence, and Nolte and him are just penned on the steps of the fountain. More damage coming on down. Forbidden wants those numbers as the Nexus will eventually explode. Fnatic Rising take the win, and they prove undisputedly that right now they're probably the best team in the NLC.
Yeah, but it seems like that was also quite hard to play Singularity's draft. I'll be honest, it seemed like a bit of a draft diff. As much as the players also played well for Fnatic, because they really did, there was never much for Singularity to do in this game. They had a very small open window with opportunities, weren't able to execute on it due to Fnatic just completely countering that with their early vision. And from that point out, it's just genuinely really well played from Fnatic to finish out the game.
The leaders of both divisions came up against each other, but it ended up being a really one-sided game. We're going to jump to a short break, but when we're back, the analyst desk is going to break it down. We'll see you in a few minutes.